It is going to be very interesting and insightful. Not to waste most of our time, our topic is talking about today implementing effective cybersecurity controls, which is great. A lot of questions will come up, I can promise you that. So we have our speaker who was also a fellow of the Institute of Information Management by Mr. Ayo Tayo Balogun. Mr. Ayo, please, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander, and thank you everyone for joining. It's great to be here. As it's been previously introduced, we'll be talking about implementing effective cybersecurity controls. Just give me a moment. I'll be projecting the screen right now. Can everybody see my screen, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can see that.
Okay, awesome. So, so we'll start right away. So the topic is implementing effective cybersecurity controls. I'll be my slide, the introduction, the discussion on my slide will go on taking into consideration that we might have people who are not necessarily cybersecurity savvy. So if I talk about things that a lot of people already know, please bear with us. Thank you. So first, this is my real face, not the one on the poster. And then I'll introduce my name is Ayo Tayo Balogun, as some of you already know. I have over 20 years non-stop IT experience, hands-on, pretty much every area of IT except application development. I have over 17 years continuous IT security experience. I've worked on different kind of technology and processes and things. And currently, I'm co-founder at Links Hub. Links Hub has a platform that's geared towards connecting users to service providers. I'm also co-founder at TechMonks. And what TechMonks does is we realize that not every organization has the capacity to employ in-house talent for cybersecurity. So we are specifically targeted, focused on helping small businesses succeed in cybersecurity area. And I also have a day job as IT security and support manager at Nakshops, which is an online retail business headquartered in Seattle, Washington. So thank you. That's that. Now we'll move to the next stage. So the layout here, we'll start with introduction. We'll talk about cybersecurity threats. We'll talk about controls. If we have sufficient time, we'll walk through a scenario and then have audience participate. And then we'll conclude. Hopefully there'll be questions. We'll have enough time to take questions, and we'll move on from there. Okay. If there's anything in the chat area, it may be hard for me to see it because I have my screen only has the presentation. Just to let you know, thank you. If I don't know if I think there should be facility for raise of hands here. If we have that, then people can use that in addition to messaging. So I'd like to start with talking about, I don't know how many of us already, I don't know how conversant we all are about the cybersecurity space. This year has been a particularly interesting year. There's been, over previous years, there's been close to like 70% increase in cybersecurity incidents in 2022. So January, there was crypto.com, data breach, and it kept going. Other people were casualty in February. March, it was Microsoft, a ransomware, a hacker group broke into Microsoft, even though Microsoft was able to recover quickly, but it happened. Data breach on American Airlines, Uber was breached twice, Medibank. It's not, the cybersecurity incidents spread across pretty much every sector. That's the point here. Even people, businesses that offer some kind of cybersecurity service were also not exempted. LastPass is they have an application for storing for password management at the enterprise level. Of course, it can be personal, but they also have things at the enterprise level. They were affected. SolarWinds core business process is more like cybersecurity, helping people's networks to be to work securely and stuff, and they go hit. So this is to say that it really doesn't matter what business we're running. Cybersecurity incidents are no respecter of persons or business. Whether you're a small business or a large business, your business is not exempt if you don't implement the right kind of controls. So and then we'll go to statistics. One good thing about statistics is that whether we like them or not, they have some truth in them. This says 95% of cybersecurity breaches are caused by human error. 43% of all breaches are insider threat. Either they are doing it deliberately, or someone made a mistake and exposes the data of the organization. It's happening. 94% of malware is delivered via email. You also have business email compromise, BC, and about $17,700 is lost every minute due to a phishing attack, and that's just phishing. There are also some other aspects of cybersecurity attacks that are not looked into. So we'll move on to cybersecurity threats. When we talk about cybersecurity threats, it basically has to do with every process and system put in place to sorry, it feels like someone says they can't hear me.
No, don't worry, continue. We can hear you, but I guess he has to work on his sound. We're
okay. Okay, thank you. I'm going to stop looking at the chat in a bit. So cybersecurity basically talks about the process to help protect confidentiality, integrity, and availability of computer systems, network, or data. Everything around that, protecting all those things against cyber attacks or unauthorized access, ensuring that your data is being used the way you intend for it to be used by the person that you intend, the person you intend for it to be used by. So I think I just did a double flip. The data is being used the way it's intended to be used, and it's being used by the person it is intended for. Now, cybersecurity threats would also talk about any circumstance or event with the potential to adversely impact organizational operations, assets, individual, other organizations, or any other platform that's connected to the particular system that's required to be protected. So, and this can happen, it may be that the organizational assets you're trying to protect ensure that it's not protected from disruption, protected from unauthorized access, because sometimes you have information, you may have to worry about the information being destroyed, or you have to worry about the wrong person getting access to it, or you have to worry about the wrong person manipulating the information so that by the time it gets to the people who need to use it, it's no longer in the form that you intended. So ensuring that all this don't happen is part of the things that cybersecurity protection work is, sorry, the major okay, sorry, excuse me. So basically, sorry, I froze out. It's crazy. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I have a lot of screen and it was a little
Sorry, we can hear you. Sorry.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. So yes, I was talking about cybersecurity threats. Basically, it would be any event or incident that works against your being able to have you're being able to protect your information or pass it across in a way that would the intended recipient is able to use. So basically, those are the kind of threats, and the kind of threats we are talking about are maybe threats of disruption. If, for instance, your business is you have like an online business and people need to connect to it, you need to be able to protect your platform from unauthorized access. Is the right person being able to access the right content? Is the content they're accessing what you intended for them to access? You know, the information you have on your platform, is the information being presented the way you intend for it to be presented? For instance, if you have a website that's sending out news, and you want only subscribed content users to be able to access it, you know, the people who pay or the people who are subscribed to it, are they able to access it? That's your availability. Now, by the time they access the news content, is the news content showing them what you intend for it to show them? You know, so if you are able to protect your platform, to be able to do all that, that's what we're talking about in terms of cybersecurity controls. And there are different kind of threats that will come against your platform that you need to protect your platform from. So now this is a list that I have here. Threat vectors basically are like avenues for threats to affect cybersecurity infrastructure. Now, okay, so I'll back up a little bit. When you talk about threats, so now I'm projecting to bring it home. I'm projecting from my computer. I might have a drink on the side. I do have a drink on the side, matter of fact. Now, threats. Now, there's a risk of my drink spilling on the computer and messing up my presentation, right? So the drink on the side is a threat. So the actual risk is that it messes my presentation up. So my control is to do whatever I can to ensure that the threat does not affect my system. So I hope that clarifies it, because I'm moving the rate at which I'm moving. I'm trying to ensure that everybody is on the same page. Now, so we're threat vectors. So vectors are avenues for a threat to affect the system. And from what we have here, we have credentials. There's people, when you have someone taking care of a particular IT infrastructure, a lot of the time you have people needing to log in using username and password. So are this done in a secure way? Is authentication implemented securely? Is the person using their username password, are they using it, are they storing it safely, are they storing it securely, or is some other person able to get it? So that's talking about credentials. Going to Unpatched software, your platform probably, your platform is powered by more than one application. Are you ensuring that those applications are up to date and they don't have any security vulnerabilities in them? The more the number of applications you have, the higher the possibility of having a compromise. The more the applications, the larger the attack surface you have. So okay, we talked about credentials and password issues. Misconfiguration, if you have a platform set up, is it configured correctly? You know, you can have someone just quickly set something up. Did they look through the processes for setting up and ensuring that appropriate security measures are taken? So encryption, if you have data, you store users' data, do you store them in a way that prevents unauthorized access? Maybe during transmission, is it transmitted securely? Is it stored securely? These are all areas that we need to look into when we talk about control. Network segmentation, there's an area of a network where your critical resources need to be, and only authorized people need to be able to get there. Do you have that in place? Do you have identity and access control? There are some attack, some threat vector with denial of service. Is your system set up to withstand denial of service attack and all that? Now you have to be able to effectively secure your system. There's segmentation. There are your core assets and the perimeter assets. If you're in an enterprise environment, your core assets are the servers that people need to get to process whatever they need to process. Your perimeter access are like your firewall, your load balancers, and all that. So inventorying them, ensuring that you have control of all those things is one step in the right direction. So now we'll talk about cybersecurity threats. We already talked about attack vectors. Your threats are, like I tried to describe earlier, you have malicious insiders, people who are inside your organization, maybe your employees or your contractors. They have access to your infrastructure. They have access to your data. They have access to your technology resources. Now, are they using the resources the way you intended for them to? You know, because someone who has access to your resources, they have access to maybe you have like customer database, these people have access to it. Are they using it for something you need for them to use it, or are they using it differently? And if they are not using it the right way, how would you know? So this is a threat. There's also like the targeted attack. Someone knows you and they are trying to break into your system. So they keep sending you malicious SMS, malicious email, hoping that you click on the link and give them access to something they shouldn't have access to. That's targeted attack. There's outdated software, like I talked about previously. People's IT infrastructure are likely based on a lot of applications. For a website that's running, you have the website itself, maybe it runs on WordPress. You have some other plugins that enhances the performance of the website. Then you have a database and all that. So you can have a plugin that's outdated. You can have your WordPress CMS itself outdated. You can have your database version of outdated. So ensuring that all these are taken care of, because those are the threats through which cybersecurity, those platforms present the threats because they are vulnerable. They present avenue for threats to take advantage of your systems. Now, we also have outdated processes. Processes like if something you do, because process has to do with a list of items you do to achieve a specific objective. If there's a way of doing things and times have changed, your process also needs to evolve to reflect the fact that times have changed. So if your processes don't evolve, then they present a surface for a threat to exploit. If anybody has any questions, we have a Q&A. We have a Q&A section at the end of the presentation, so we can please take the questions at that time. So we'll talk about cybersecurity threats. Now we're talking about cybersecurity controls, and controls are basically any measure implemented to mitigate the effect of cybersecurity threat. So if, as I was trying to explain earlier, if my cup or if my drink is a threat to my computer, what measures am I implementing to ensure that that doesn't happen? Moving it away from my computer, or creating some kind of protective layer on my computer so that even if it spills, it doesn't damage my keyboard. That's the control. So that's what we're talking about, bringing that to the cybersecurity space. Everything we have to do to ensure that whatever threats, any of the threats that we talked about earlier, does not affect our systems negatively. So every process we need to implement to ensure that that happens is cybersecurity control. Now, I'll go into details of cybersecurity controls later, but now I wanted to talk about when you talk about cybersecurity controls, there are basic features you need to look out for. Okay, cost is one of them, and because to implement a control, you're protecting a particular security resource, right? To implement a control, your control will cost you something. So the golden rule of control, because to a lot of the time, it's not just one control. You have a lot of control to select from. Using my computer and drink example like I did earlier, I can decide to get something to cover my computer so the drink doesn't, if the drink spills, it doesn't affect it. I can get something to hold my cup and raise it to my mouth automatically whenever I want to drink it. Now, we look at what the cost of getting a control is. In implementing cybersecurity controls, the golden rule is that whatever control you are implementing does not cost more than you would have to pay if the threat is able to exploit the vulnerability of your system. Now, let me try to bring it home some more. If we have a house and someone maybe a store, and you have a lot of money in that store or a lot of valuables, maybe jewelry, and one of the controls you have is that you make a door. You have a door, you have a lock, you can have a fence, you can have a security personnel who patrols the place all the time. If the item you have in storage will cost you about 500 million naira. And the other controls you have, because if they steal it, you are losing that money, right? You are losing that value of money. If installing your CCTV, installing security lock, installing the safe, and getting the person to patrol it is going to be up to the amount, the cost, the value of the item you're trying to protect. It doesn't make sense. So you need to find a control whose cost is a lot less than is a fraction of the item you're trying to protect. That's the best way to ensure that you're getting value for your money in terms of protection. Now, so I have a quick question. And my question is, when you implement a control, right, there's a lot of the time there's some reduction in productivity. Should the reduction in productivity introduced as a result of implementing a security control count towards the cost of implementing the control? You can post yes or no in the chat box. I'd like to see that, please. Is everybody hearing me?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So I have two yeses. Okay, 3. Yeah, the more the control, yes. Yes, but okay. Okay, thank you everyone. It feels like everyone agrees, and yes, because like someone rightly noted that the more the control, the less user friendliness. And a lot of the time as security people, we forget that security exists to serve the business and not the other way around. So whatever control we put in place has to be done in such a way that it doesn't cost more. So I just wanted to highlight that, because when I say cost, when I talk about cost, people only think in terms of how much money is being spent to buy the control or to implement the control. So the opportunity cost is also a part of the cost. So now I talked about features to look out for in implementing cybersecurity control. The first one is the cost. The second one is the method of implementation. Now, when we talk about method of implementation, there's a technical method, there's the administrative method, and then there's the physical method. So if going back to protecting your house that's full of cash or jewelry or something, the technical control, some technical control you can have is to have, if you have a lock, you can connect it with some kind of security system that you can remotely monitor or remotely arm and disarm, like enable and disable, right? People who are used to using remote security devices, you talk about arming and disarming. So you can have that. That's technical. Administrative is if you have someone there, you can have if it's a large enough place, You can have someone who is the head of the security, who is in charge of.
You can't, you don't want to be associated. You are living in this house, for goodness sake.
Sorry, someone needs to mute. Okay, so sorry about that. So you can have, if you talk about administrative, it has to do with processes and procedures and standards and all that. So that's the administrative part. And physical is you're actually like implementing actual physical stuff, like creating barriers, excuse me, building strong doors and all that. Yes, someone took over our control. So that's a so these are the three methods to look out for. Now, if you've chosen a control, you look at cost. You also look at method of implementation. Are you going to be implementing a physical control or an administrative control or a technical control? In some cases, you have to, one fits into the other. So you may need to implement the three. In some cases, depending on what kind of business you run, one would just be enough. For instance, on a road, if someone's traveling on a road, you're trying to prevent them from moving over to the other side, you can just implement like a road divider, huge road divider, so that nobody can cross to the other side. Or you can have administrative, could be that you already have processes and procedures and documented in driver's license. Nobody, when you get to this kind of area, you see this kind of sign, don't cross to the other side. You know, so those are the kind of methods. So you decide on cost, then you decide on method of implementation. That's two. The third thing you decide on is the mode of operation of a control. And this is going to be tied to the kind of system you have, the kind of system you're trying to protect. Now, is your control going to be preventative or detective or corrective? Preventative is to prevent the threat from taking advantage of a system. Detecting is to detect if a threat takes advantage of a system, and corrective is after the threat has taken advantage of a system, what do you do to restore your system back to what it should be? So this is talking about preventative. Whether you choose preventative, detective, or any other, you can do it from, you have to look at it again from either preventive administrative, preventive technical, or preventive physical. So detective, same thing. If you are detecting, are you detecting using administrative, or you are detecting using technical, or you are detecting using physical? If you are implementing corrective control, is it corrective in administrative sense, corrective in technical, or corrective in physical? So effective in implementing effective controls, we need to first clearly define what we're trying to achieve. And we cannot implement controls if we don't understand the business. So taking time to understand the business, taking time to know what processes are critical to the business, how does the business make money, what's important to them, what will they take seriously, what will prevent, what will happen to make them lose money, and what can help them make more money is the first part. And what's the management interested in? It always comes down to being profitable. So that's the first part. Then the next step will be to understand and implement the appropriate framework. Now, depending on what kind of business an organization is in, there will be regulatory requirements. All these regulatory requirements are implemented to help the businesses work more securely. But for some regulatory frameworks, you need to, in addition to reading the letters, you need to understand the spirit. If you do not, then you just go ahead and implement things just because you want to be able to tick a box or cross something out that it's done. But at the end of the day, you still won't be effective because you don't understand the spirit. Now, understanding the space your business plays in is a major factor, and it would help people implement effectively. Now, there are several frameworks, and each of these frameworks, well, some of the frameworks like PCI is specific to a particular sector of the economy. Some others cut across everything. There's a system and organization controls, that's SOC. There's SOC 1, that's for accounting, SOC 2, type 1, type 2, that's for IT security, basically. There's ISO, ISO 2700, which is ISMS. There's ISO 2702, which is, I think, risk management and all that. They have all these. There's HIPAA, and HIPAA is more for healthcare, record management and privacy and all that. Then there's GDPR, which basically is like SOC, but it's for Europe. SOC is more for North America and yeah, North America. That's America, USA and Canada. Then there's NIST frameworks, basically just puts a lot of stuff together, and then you can have, there's a cybersecurity framework, there's a risk assessment, and several other subheadings. So effective controls implementation, after understanding and implementing the appropriate framework, then you have to, after you implement, you have to check, audit, assess if it's in-house, or get a third party to audit. Everything I've implemented, this is the business that I have, this is how it should work, this is the category of business that I fall in. So is everything implemented like it needs to work? That's when you start to talk about you can have a QSA assess your PCI DSS compliance level. You can get a HIPAA assessor or someone from ISO or SOC, but basically, or you can just have like a regular IT security business that's into assessing, do all the assessment required. So in my experience, these are some of the hurdles that people have to overcome to ensure that controls are implemented correctly. First, you cannot, if you are implementing a control for a business, either you're implementing as a cybersecurity employee of a company, or you're implementing as a consultant. The management has to approve what you're trying to do. So you need to be able to sell the management. In some cases, you're lucky, it's the management pushing for it. In some other cases, you are not so lucky, the management is only seeing how the controls you implement will negatively impact the business. So it is now your responsibility as the control person to sell them and let them see the benefits of implementing what you're asking them to implement, what benefits you derive after implementation. So that's you need to ensure buy-in. And one of the major reasons we don't get buy-in is ineffective communication. Your communication is not as effective as should be. Management, basically, businesses talk in terms of money, and we need to also realize that, like I said earlier, cybersecurity exists for the business. The business does not exist for cybersecurity, so you need to come from that angle. Then the third major thing is lack of subject matter expertise. If you don't understand the controls and how they work and how they impact your technology infrastructure, you are most likely going to implement them wrongly. You set something up and it wouldn't work like it's meant to work, or people won't use it. And you can't say it's not your fault, because if people don't use it, ultimately control is ineffective. So those are the things to look out for, those hurdles. And I tried to talk about how we can overcome the hurdles. In terms of executive management buy-in, you have to have a top-down adoption strategy, ensure that the management buys into it, sit with them, share your vision, share the downside of not implementing it, let them be able to tie it into how it brings in money to the business or help the business make more money. And effective communication, if you have standards, procedures and policies, ensure they are written clearly and everything stated clearly. And it's done in such a way that conformance can be measured. Because if you don't measure conformance, there's no way to know if people are doing what they need to do or not doing what they need to do. Then the third part, if there's anything you don't know, there's always a body of a group of cybersecurity organizations, like group of like-minded experts that you can reach out to, or basically just find people who do the kind of things you're trying to do and then get more information. The internet is also like a really, really good place to get access to a lot of these things. So next thing for me would be for us to have a scenario, choose a fictitious business and talk about how to go about what kind of controls we'll implement and how to go about implementing it. But I don't have enough time, so I think we'll just skip to question and answer section. So basically, to recap, being able to implement effective control, you need to understand the business, see what space you are in. Excuse me. If it's a business that takes payment online, if you process over, I think 4 million transactions a year, of course you're going to have to be compliant with PCI DSS. So depending on what you do and how you treat customer card data, maybe you do the payment yourself, you're a payment processor, or you outsource completely to a third party, there's a different thing for you to do depending on how you process the user's payment. So of course, you are going to have to be PCI DSS. There may be some other things, privacy related issues, because you have customer data on your platform. So there's a way, there are some measures you need to put in place to show that you conform to how people's payment data should be treated. So understand what your requirements are, review whatever controls that need to be put in place, and decide whether you're doing, is your business fine with just implementing technical controls, or do you have to add administrative and the others to it? So set all that up And yeah, you should be fine. Also look at the what you need to focus on when implementing control. You need to get people's buy-in, the right kind of people you need to get their buy-in. You need to ensure that you understand the control you're implementing, and also reach out to people if you need assistance, and review whatever control you've implemented just to be sure that you're not the one thinking it's effective, that it's actually effective and doing the things you need for it to do. So thank you everyone for being here. Now we move to Q&A.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ayo, for that great presentation. That was a good one. Thanks so much. So we have a couple of questions. We have questions around what is the difference between V and PT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. I don't understand whether the question is around definition or understanding in terms of the context of risks. So
okay. Yeah, would you like me to take that first?
Yes, please. But I'm trying to understand the context of which the person was asking the question, because you said what's the difference between V and PT?
Well, the first difference is in their name.
Okay.
One is vulnerability assessment, the other one is penetration testing. So when you have a platform, right? Like I mentioned earlier, that your platform is not made up of just, a lot of the time it's not made up of just one IT component. There are several IT components. Now, and because IT components have a tendency to contain weaknesses, like inherent weaknesses. So what vulnerability assessment does is it looks at the system holistically and then see what vulnerabilities it contains. Like if you use your website, for example, you can run a scan and see, it would list everything, maybe like all the components if possible. Like good vulnerability assessment applications do that. They will list all the components and then they will let you know which of the components has vulnerabilities in them, which of the components are vulnerable. So basically that report is what vulnerability assessment is about. Now, penetration testing takes it a step further. Excuse me. For every vulnerability that's been discovered, it tries to exploit it. So if you say, because in a lot of cases, your vulnerability assessment tools will get information from the sources that provide information based on what component you have. If your vulnerability assessment tool sees that you have WordPress on your site, it gets all the information, or it already has pre-populated information about WordPress, what version is the latest, what problem did the previous versions have, so if your current version is not if the version you have on your platform is less than the current version, then it comes to you to say, okay, no, this version is vulnerable to so and so, and that's the version you have. But penetration testing goes a step further. It tries to exploit. You have to go a step further and try to exploit the vulnerability you have, because in some cases, you are unable to exploit it. In some cases, there's backporting, even if you have a version that's lower than the current version you see. The vulnerability, in some cases, some platform owners fix the problems without going to the next version. That's backporting. So in some cases, it won't work. So you have to go a step further and try to exploit. Once you exploit successfully, then you know it's there. That's what penetration testing does.
All right.
Do you have any questions?
So the next question is there that says, how can one protect the data on a server from cyber criminals?
How can one protect data
What
on a
steps? So he's
server?
saying, what steps can I take to secure data in a server from a cyber criminal?
Well, what steps? So it's a tough one because every situation is unique. But one, you have to be sure that your server is configured correctly. There's a CIS template, Center for Internet Security. They have a template for deploying stuff, like they call it secure configuration management. They have a template for how to deploy a server securely. So first, you need to be sure that you've done that, right? You also need to protect the physical security, ensure that the server is kept in a secure place by itself. Because no matter what kind of username or password you use, no matter how complex it is, if someone has physical access to it, your data is not safe. So you need to protect it physically. You need to be sure that you have complex username, password. You need to be sure that the data you have is encrypted on the server. And if there's any requirement for transmission, you need to be sure that it is encrypted. Transmission channel is securely implemented and there's proper encryption. Not just any kind of encryption that can be easily broken. You need to use the right kind of encryption. So doing that, well, yes, when you do that, you're on your way to securing it. But to be able to keep it completely secure, you probably need to take it offline and lock it somewhere where you have 100% control.
Okay, thanks a lot. There's another question. I think there were 4 questions. I don't know if you can see. A lot of persons are pasting steps to take: endure regular patching, ensure data encryption, both address and emotions. Well, those ones are okay because it has to do with data, right? So access control is there, all those stuff. That's good. But there's another very good question, another one that talks about how can organizations. This was from Yemi Zebube, one of our executive council members.
Oh, okay. I see. Is the one that says, how can an organization measure the effectiveness of a cybersecurity unit performance?
Yes.
I can clarify the question.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for your session. It's an eye opener and it's good. At least you touch a bit on all. So my question is, you said at the beginning that cybersecurity is when you were talking that they are to put different levels or forms of controls in an organization. So, when you have an organization, and I saw that when you were teaching us, you were telling us about the threats and you are telling us about the controls. So if I have a cybersecurity team in my organization, how do I measure them? Is it if I have an attack and I'm quickly able to recover, or I don't have? Or to what level of control can we put in place to say that, yes, my cybersecurity is top notch and they are working? And can we actually put 100% control in place in an organization? So I'm just kind of curious.
Okay, so let me answer the last question first. You can put controls in place, all right? Point is because now we're talking about risk. When we talk about controls, we're talking about risk and threats. Now, you can put controls in place But maybe your question is, can we address a risk like 100%? Like, can we beat our chest and say, okay, this risk has been addressed 100%? And is that, am I getting it correctly? Or am I twisting things?
Yes,
Sorry,
to an
sorry.
extent, but it's yeah, because
Go ahead. Please go ahead. Is that okay by you?
yes, to an extent, can you actually put 100% control in place and you will say there will be no attack or threats?
No, you can put 100% control in place, okay, but there are a lot of surfaces. So that's why I was trying to use the risk option. And what I tried to do earlier when I talked about my drink and my computer. So this is a threat. My computer is the asset. The risk I'm trying to protect against is having my drink spill on my computer, because if it does that, I'll lose my presentation. So I can have my control is but to prevent this my control is ensuring that this doesn't do whatever I can to ensure that this doesn't spill. So it's a control. That's why I said that I don't think the 100% you're talking about is about control. It's more about preventing the risk from materializing. And when we to answer your question, we can do so. We can address a risk, but after the controls have been put in place, we still have like residual risks, the kind of risks that are available even after controls have been put in place. And then we decide on how we treat. Once we have our control, we know the threats. We decide on how we want to address the risks. So you can put 100% control in place. I have a house, so maybe if you give me specific context, I'll be able to use that. I have a house where I have a storage unit where I have a lot of important things, and my control is everything I can do to ensure that people don't get there. People don't go there unless I authorize them. So I have a door, I have a lock, I have a security personnel, I have CCTV that's helping me watch and see what's happening to it at every point in time. So if I have all that, if I'm able to assess all the possible ways in which the item can be compromised and address every single one of them, that's 100%. But does that mean that my another area of threat can't come out at a future time? No, it does not. And if you look more at control than having a balance of control and usability, then you won't be productive, because like I tried to explain, the reason we're implementing security is to ensure that the business is able to work well. It's kind of like installing a brake on a car. The objective of the brake is so that I can move very fast, because I know that whenever I want to stop, I can stop. So if we look more from a control perspective, it may be hurting the business.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So then there is you talked about measuring the performance of your security team.
Yes, but
okay.
Apparently from your first answer, it's obvious that we will continue to spend money on them they will continue to do identification of risk and mitigating them as they come up. And there may be risks that they may not see. So having them may not be, or maybe outsourcing it may be a good option for an organization.
Okay, in
In
some
terms of
cases, in some cases, outsourcing may be a good thing, but let me tell you, one of the things that I do is there's a list of risk areas. There's for some people, it's a risk of having their account taken over by malicious users. So what I do is there's a dashboard for account performance. Everything happening about the account at every point in time, I have access to it. I know users whose accounts are being someone's trying to brute force and break into their account. I have a record of everything. At the end of a particular period, I make a table, I make a presentation, I present it to the right kind of people and say, okay, this number of accounts we have, this account is high risk because every 2 minutes someone's trying to break into it. And then this account, someone is trying to log into it from a different place and so forth. Being able to present those kind of reports, being able to identify what areas are high risk to your business and have your team focus on it and share reports with you. That's basically what they need to do. You are the one who will decide on what part of your business is good. As security people, they need to sit with you and identify what area of your business is critical to the business process itself. Or sorry, what area of the business process is critical to the business itself. So you focus a lot of effort on that. Now they need to be able to give you reports that make you comfortable that, oh, okay, these people are doing their work. If they do, because you will be asking questions. You ask questions, okay, so what happens if, or what have you put in, or what do we have in place that ensures that I won't have an interruption in this? If I have a website, for instance, and we're selling stuff, then one of the questions will be like, what happens if we get hacked? Then your security team will come to say, okay, no, we already have this and this and this in place. Or if you could just ask them, how are we doing in terms of security? And they'll tell you, oh, okay, well, this last few months, 50 people tried to hack us. 10% of those people launched, what's it called, an automated scan. 15% tried to use DDoS. 5% tried to get into our email. Other people were poking around on the ports on our server. They need to be able to give you all that. Otherwise, you're just waiting to get hacked and have them clean up. So getting that report from them and ensuring that they have ready answers to the questions you have is one way to measure performance.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. And
Grace Agenti has the hand
you have
raised.
to send a chat message on the chat box, please. If you have any message, that we are almost out of time. It's 1 hour.
Okay. Yeah, Grace has her hand raised.
If Mr. President will have, Mr. President, if you allow additional 4 minutes or 3 minutes, we can take that. Otherwise, we have to do other formalities to close the session. So I seek permission from the President before we can have additional time to do it.
Yeah, I think we can entertain a couple of questions too,
right.
Because mind you, this is holiday period, and
okay.
we might not be having another session till next year. So
fantastic.
Permission granted.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Grace.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you for your a wonderful presentation. Just a quick one. We talked about attack. On my main focus, how do we, as an organization, deal with insider attack? Because of course, these are insiders. They already have the password. They already know in and out of the office. Even if you want to go physical, as in physical structures, security men, gates, and all the rest. So how do we handle them? Because of course, you must have, if you're the administrator and you have people working under you, for one reason or the other, probably some disgruntled employees might have them there, knowingly or unknowingly. So how do you handle this set of people? Just my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. So I recently did something for an organization. They run on Microsoft 365, and of course that thing has some dashboard. And they had a lot of people who were like global administrators. That's the highest level of permission you can have. A lot of these people didn't have any business having this access. So what I did is I first talked to their management to be sure that the people who had access to determine what people required access. Okay, so I took everybody out and only enabled people who required access. That's one. Two, implementing visibility. And visibility is that when someone does something, you see what they have done, you're able to tie it to who did it. That's non-repudiation. You're able to tie it to who did it and when they did it. So that was another thing that I turned on for them. That way, if even the global administrators, if any of them does anything, it is recorded and sent to a group of people there who are responsible for vetting. So they have a record. If the administrator did it, they have a record of everything he did, what time he did, and how he did it. So being able to implement that visibility, being able to, of course, you first need to have a policy in place that talks about what people should do and what people should not do. Because people are going to do and they say, oh, no, I didn't know, you didn't tell us not to do it. So you need that policy. You need to implement visibility so that you see who is doing what at what time. And there's a third thing that I've forgotten now. Okay, but anyway, just ensure that you have the third one I was going to say is separation of duties. Like if you need to have like a maker checker situation. If someone raises a request, they should not be the one to approve it. There has to be another person approving, so that at least you have two people. Now, even if you have those two people conniving and doing something, you have a record for it because you have visibility. You know what they did at what time and who did what. So implementing all that will go a long way in resolving the problem. So the problem now is that you now have to find a way to see how that fits into your infrastructure. Does it make sense?
Okay, thanks, Ayo. I think we have a question from Lola David.
Yes, David.
My question is a bit technical and somehow legal. I just want to ask around. Okay, probably you've put some proactive measures in place, and the attacker was able to get into your system, and you have been hacked, and you try all your reactive strategies, and nothing seems to go up. And the attacker is requesting for ransom. So, as an expert, sir, would you advise for an organization to give in bread and pay the ransom, or probably explore that option, or just call it a bluff and do something else? Or what would be the advice you give with attacker?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. From the bit I was able to make out of your question, it has to do with ransomware. So your question ultimately is asking if I would advise the organization to pay the ransom or not.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So my point is, the people already have your data, right? And you don't know them, obviously, because if you know them, then it'll be easy for you to prosecute them. Like if you can find some actual person to hold on to, you can prosecute them. But you do not know them, you can't prosecute them. And the payment you are going to make will most probably be in Bitcoin, untraceable. How do you know that after paying them, they will release your data to you? And if it's sensitive information, how do you know that after, even if they release your data, they don't share it or sell it to someone else, who in turn comes to blackmail you to give them money and stuff? So every situation is different, and usually the decision to pay ransom or not to pay ransom is a complex one, and it's always handled by the executive management of every organization, because they would be they will ultimately be responsible for what happens. So, and you need to also, I didn't go into whether the data was encrypted at your end or it was exfiltrated. That means they have a copy, and they have a copy with them, and then they encrypted the one you have locally, or they deleted it, because that would also introduce new dynamics into everything. But ultimately, the decision is not a decision that the cybersecurity engineer can take. Even a CISO has to take it to the board and executive management to decide on that. CEO, member of the board, and CTO, if you have any, and the CISO. So that's the point where those kind of decisions are made. But for me, if someone stole my data and they're asking me to pay for them to release it, the fact that they stole it already, makes me not trust them. Why would I want to waste money? But it depends on what kind of data, and it depends on how you think you can manage it and what kind of trust you feel you can put in someone who is holding your organization to ransom.
Okay, thank you, Ayo, for answering the question, but the last question is very dicey. Depends on the value of the data you are certain. Take, for example, Bet9ja. This year, they had a ransom where they asked them to pay $340 million. But you know what? For 5 days, they were not up. They said they're not going to pay. Again, it depends on the value of the kind of business they do, because if there's indirect impact to the customer, direct impact, they would give. They were able to recover and start working within 5 days, and they didn't pay a dime to the guys for the ransom. So it depends on the business data, the value of the data they have. And again, regulatory concerns is there, because you pay. They are ready to pay, fine, but they're ready to put their data back. So it's very dicey. The last question is the question that comes up in every conference, and legally there is a concern now, and people need to wake up and protect their data. Legally, you will pay based on the importance of your data. Most people, you are advised to pay to use it to track the perpetrators, the hackers. Most of the time, they get caught, because if you can trace the money, even if it's Bitcoin, because most of the people have asked not to pay. When you pay, they try it again and they found out. So it's happening a lot. People have to be careful. So I just want to.
The government actually encourages people not to pay.
Yes.
The government encourages people not to pay, and then they expect that if you have a ransomware attack and someone's demanding money, you talk to the FBI, they take it off, go to the underground forums and try to see if they can identify the people, because basically a lot of the people driving the ransomware markets, of course, they're in the dark web, and the government also has a leg in it, so they are able to monitor a lot of these things and they see what's going on. They have a list of people, they know how they operate, and in some cases, they will ultimately, I mean, to a large extent, ultimately they catch everybody. So they encourage people not to pay, irrespective of what kind of data it is. Yeah. But I mean, it is still your business. That's why I said the executive management has responsibility ultimately to decide whether they pay or not. But the fact that data has been compromised already exposes you to fine, whether you pay or you don't pay. The fact that there's a breach already exposes you to some kind of fine, legal action.
Thanks. I just want to add to the point of the KPI side. There is need for organization to define control maturity. Look at the CMMC today that is out, that if you look at what the DoD is doing today in America with the CMMC, where they have a body set of CMMC AB, there is need for organizations to establish cybersecurity maturity levels that can help them to measure the effectiveness of their team. Because that most of the problem we have today in the industry is that there are no maturity assigned for each of the activities on cybersecurity for different levels of organization. So I think it is good that we adopt the cybersecurity maturity model approach to use it to measure the maturity of the various teams' performance. That will give various good KPI that will give organization what rest. Because today the problem is that there is no way to measure return on security investment today. But now it's happening because you keep spending money and putting control in place for cybersecurity. How do you measure return on security investment? So to add to Mr. question, that was why I'm making this point. There is need for them to come back and measure the way you measure return on IT investment. They can measure that by establishing, they know the cost of the controls, and they can assign maturity using various models, the same MC model, which is they use in the US now, and it's almost everywhere. And that's what he mentioned NIST. They use the NIST 82171 to achieve that, but there is more, okay? Also, let them adopt that approach so that you can have more peace in the organization, because data breach is there to happen, but once you assign maturity for the various controls for your data, for your processes, for your activities, you can actually have at least 95% protection of your organizational assets, because these guys are watching this time. Controls itself can actually have weakness, right? So that is why you keep monitoring, okay? You keep monitoring, you keep learning new ways. Technology is changing, so the threat landscape will also change. Now, they need to use AI to be able to detect threats, because most people now need to understand that you need to automate your backup and recovery. So I like the tone of the conversation, so that what we are having, we might have to have this section again, Mr. President. So I will deep dive into information protection and maturity for an effective cybersecurity control implementation, so that we will now see how we can align the things we are doing from data and information to go to security. So thank you very much, Mr. Ayo. Duni, do you have a question? Okay, sorry. Do you need any question or just okay explanation? Thanks.
No question. I'm just corroborating your position. Well spoken. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you. If there are any further questions or contributions, thank you so much, Mr. Ayo, for that insightful presentation. We will want to have introduction of most of our executive council members. I will start from the president of the institute. Mr. President, if you're there, please introduce yourself. Mr. President, after the introduction, we will have a group photograph. Please don't go anywhere. We're going to have a group photograph after the introductions. We will have to on our cameras after the introduction of the executive council members. So please, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Nago. And a very big thank you to our resource person. We're indeed grateful to have you this month. And To all the members and non-members online, we want to thank you for making our time to be part of the last webinar for the year. This is the 12th webinar we'll be having in the year 2022. We give God the glory, and we pray that we all will be alive this same time next year, to witness the last webinar in the year 2023. So thank you, everyone. We look forward to having you again in 2023. Over to you, Mr. Nago.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Next is we have Mrs. Tiwalade Fafoga. Please, if you are there, can you please introduce yourself? I saw her here now.
I'm here.
Yeah, princess, okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
It's a pleasure being part of today, the last webinar for the year. It's indeed been a wonderful webinar tonight. The topic is great. What a great topic to end the year 2022. This is an indication that next year will even be greater. So I would like to use this opportunity to thank the presenter, the speaker, Mr. Tayo Balogun. It was an excellent delivery, perfect composure. He composed himself. I was watching his face there. He was well composed, and his topic was well researched and superlatively delivered. I want to thank you so much for this great lecture. We are all blessed. We have all learned a lot from the lecture. So I also want to thank everybody present for being part of our IIM webinar from January to December. And I pray we look forward to more topics, more interesting topics like this in 2023. I want to thank all the ESCO members, Executive Council members for always being there. And to the President, I want to say that you are the best. My saying you are the best does not mean I'm flattering you. I'm just saying what is the right thing. And by saying that, it means what it means. So we appreciate you for the job you are doing, for helping all of us with the Executive Council members and the entire members of the Institute of Information Management Africa. We have been blessed to be part of this institute, and our life has turned better since we became members of this institute. So once again, I want to thank everyone, and I want to appreciate you, and I want to wish all of us a Merry Christmas and prosperous 2023. See you all in 2023. Bye.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Nago. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have Mrs. Yemi Ezebube, please. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy end of the year. And thank you to the speaker and the presenter. We really enjoy your session. And to everyone on the call, we want to say a big thank you for joining in and being part of today's webinar. And on a parting gift, so like I am the Executive Council member, FIIM, and for Constitution. So I just want to encourage everyone as we go into the new year, make yourself happy, regardless what the situation is. It's going to be a great year. We are ending the year, but we're going into a new year and many good things to come. wish you all a happy new year and a Merry Christmas as well. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emieze Bube. My humble self, Alexander M. Anago, Deputy Council Member, PR and Sponsorship, Business Information Management for Africa. Okay, having said that, most of our fellows that is online, please, we would like to entertain comments from you. One or two of our fellows that is online or more, we need feedback. So any goodwill message from the fellows, please. I have to start calling you guys out, huh? So fellows present, please, we need some goodwill message from you. You can unmute your mic and speak.
Unmute your mic.
Yeah, Zamalara, yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I want to congratulate the Institute for all the achievements over this year, over the years in especially. And I think, you know, the Institute has a very long stretch of goodwill all over the world, because I've been with the Institute for a couple of years, and I've seen the good work that the Institute is doing. And I want to encourage and congratulate the president for the effort that he has put in, and all the members, the ESCO members. They are very, very efficient in following up on the fellows and trying to get us involved in all the activities of the Institute. I congratulate all of you, and I wish all of us a very prosperous 2023. Thank you for having us.
So thank you so much. We have another fellow in the house, please.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Rosaline Essen. Yeah, Mrs.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our president, for all that you have been doing for the Institute, for carrying us along. I'm so grateful to be part of the Institute. Thank you so much, and I wish everyone a very good Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. God bless all of us.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Who else? All right. So, without any further much goodwill messages, we might like to talk about our 2023 calendar. Mr. President, please, over to you. After that, we'll have our group photograph, please.
Thank you, Mr. Nago. Before we leave, I want to seize this opportunity to invite those that are yet to join the IM family. This is another great opportunity. A couple of days ago, the Institute announced a special promo for intending members. So we have 25% discount for those that are interested in joining the Institute or interested in taking any of the training program or certification program. They can actually pre-register, you know, before the end of the promo. And we also have the comprehensive calendar for the year 2023. It has been published, it has been widely circulated, and the various locations have been identified, and the dates has been fixed for our global conventions across the globe. So it's a good opportunity for us to begin to prepare and plan towards any of those events around the globe. And like we all know, members have the opportunity to attend our international programs for free. And for non-members that are interested in attending, they will need to contact the membership department to get the fee for them to attend any of the programs. In the new year, the Institute is evolving, and we're coming up with interesting programs. We're going to be having technology cohorts, which means we're going to be having programs that will be spanning between 6 to 8 weeks, where we'll be breeding professionals in different areas talking about data privacy, data protection, cyber security, information security, health information management, document control, and so on and so forth. You can be rest assured that the Institute is always ready to evolve and, as we normally do, come up with interesting and value-driven programs, that would help professionals to do well in their career. We're also planning to work with different recruitment agencies across the globe, where we'll create opportunities for our graduates. As they're graduating, we'll create a platform for them where they can actually access open positions across the globe. So you all will agree with me that COVID-19 has really helped to re-emphasize on the fact that we don't have to physically be present at locations to get things done anymore. So it means you can be at any location and be earning in foreign currencies as a result of the skills and knowledge that we've acquired. So IIM is facilitating this in the new year. And the promo, like I mentioned earlier, is an opportunity for us to key into this, to get a large chunk of the fees, off the regular fee. So on that note, I want to say a very big thank you again for making it a day with us, and also for you to have been able to stay up to this present time. Please feel free, if you have any question, any comment, any contribution, to reach out to the Institute. We are very open. We're open to collaboration. We're open to suggestions. We're open to any kind of information that you might have, that would help to ensure that we continue to evolve from information to value as a professional institute. Thank you, and have a wonderful night rest or afternoon, depending on where you are.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Mr. President, for that information. Please, let's take this opportunity to get this done. We are an accredited institution, and our courses are accredited, so it's an advantage. Okay, so please turn on your cameras. So we need to take the pictures now. Turn on your cameras. Okay. There's 2 pages that we have here. So I need to take the first one. Okay. The second page. Press the second page. Same process. Okay. Second one. Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for that. I wish you a very good weekend. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night rest. Mr. Alexander, good to see your face after such a long time.
Yeah, Mr. Raphael, is that you? The pleasure.
I'm okay, I'm fine. It's a pleasure, yes. Thank you.
Mr. Duni, nice having you. Nice having you on board, Mr. Duni. I think it's off now.
think it's up.
Yeah, it's on already. Mr. Ephraim Udoji, thanks for attending. Madam Fakeye.
Thank you so much, sir. I love you.
Nice having you. Madam Roslyn, all the way from Akwa Ibom.
Thank you very much, my president.
Yeah, nice having you.
Okay.
So to every other person, Osam, are you there? You want to unmute? Let's hear your voice.
Yes, Mr. President. Long time.
Nice. Yeah, nice having you.
It's always my pleasure, sir. And I just wanted to come in and say, wish you all the best to you, to your family, the Institute, and the respected members.
Thank you so much. You're highly appreciated.
All the way from the Middle East.
Thank you.
You're
We're
welcome.
glad to
You're
have you on
welcome.
board. Have a wonderful day.
You too. You too. Thank you.
Yeah.